Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? I don't know if you fans are starting to notice this trend, but the more Gennady Golovkin fights, the more the professional boxing community is starting to corroborate when it comes to their views on Gennady Golovkin. And when I say the professional boxing community, I'm talking about some of the most relevant people, the guys that have been in the ring, from boxers to trainers. I'm starting to notice that a lot of them are starting to criticize Golovkin. Some are just criticizing his level of opposition. Others are criticizing his skills. They're starting to see chinks in the armor. I've been hearing a lot of professional boxers and trainers pretty much say the same thing when it comes to Gennady Golovkin, from Carl Froch to Teddy Atlas to Roy Jones to Bernard Hopkins and now Oscar De La Hoya. Now, I shouldn't say now Oscar De La Hoya, because believe it or not, this is not the first time Oscar De La Hoya actually says something like this about Golovkin. He actually said something like this about Golovkin long time ago, way before the Lemieux fight was even talked about, in an interview that I actually did with him. Matter of fact, go ahead and check out this clip. Oscar, you said you hope Keith Thurman is not the next Golovkin, so I have to ask you, who do you think is better out of the two? Thurman or Golovkin?
Thurman.
Okay.
Is better? Yeah, Thurman.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, absolutely. Thurman is... See, one thing about Golovkin, he's tough. He's a strong fighter. When Canelo was sparring with him up in Big Bear, Canelo mentioned, look, he's strong. He's very strong. It's, a lot of fighters are strong. And there's ways of beating strong fighters. But one thing about Keith Thurman is that he knows how to move. He lateral, uses combinations, he thinks in the ring. He's like, Golovkin is a fighter who has to beat you with his power. He has to. He can't beat you with moving side to side or going back. See, one thing about Golovkin is that I learned, because I've studied him, is that if he moves back, he can't.
Now you guys have to excuse the audio malfunction with the music starting to play at the end of the interview with Oscar De La Hoya. But just in case you didn't hear exactly what Oscar De La Hoya said at the end of that, was that Gennady Golovkin, he cannot go back. He cannot fight going back. Now this is what Oscar had to say about Golovkin after the David Lemieux fight. Quote, "I love the jab. Excellent work with the jab. Surprised a lot of people. Lemieux's used to throwing a lot of combinations, really strong power punches, and credit to Triple G that he used his jab. He was very smart. But the one thing about Triple G is he's all about power. Nothing else. He's all about power. It's a power jab. It's a power hook, it's a power right hand, and in the meantime, he's leaving himself wide open." End quote. And I just wanted to let you guys know, by the way, the clip that I showed you guys when I was interviewing Oscar De La Hoya, that interview was conducted back in December of 2014. Okay? With that being said, let's talk a little bit about what Oscar said, what Teddy Atlas said, what Carl Froch said, what Roy and all these professional boxers are saying about Gennady Golovkin. When it comes to sports like MMA and boxing, these two sports are so different than any other sport, because these sports are based on so much emotion. These fans get so emotionally attached to their favorite fighters that when they hear a professional boxer, former boxer like Oscar De La Hoya, who's done it all in the ring, when they hear him break down Golovkin's flaws, they are so attached to Gennady Golovkin emotionally that they cannot stomach hearing anything that may actually be true, but negative. They don't want to hear anything negative about Gennady Golovkin, because to them, this is really about cheerleading. I mean, if you really think about it, boxing has become like gangbanging. I mean, really, it's like gangbanging, where, you know, if you got the leader of your gang saying, oh, come on, y'all, we got to do this drive-by, you know, the homie's going to be like, okay. They don't care if you're right or wrong. They just riding with you because it's loyalty to the gang, right? That's how it is in boxing. When it comes to Gennady Golovkin, these fans, these soldiers, these gang members, they are basically saying, I don't give a damn if he does have flaws. You ain't supposed to announce it. Because if you do announce it to the public, you're a traitor, right? Because we already know, when I quote what Oscar De La Hoya says, there's going to be fans saying, oh, fuck Oscar. Oscar's jealous. He's hating. He's this and he's that. That's loyalty talk. That's what that is. That's basically saying, Oscar, we know this shit is true, but you ain't supposed to tell the enemy that. That's how they look at it. They look at it as a betrayal. I'll give you a perfect example. I'll give you guys a perfect example. You guys remember probably about, 2 years ago, Juan Manuel Marquez, he started criticizing Canelo Alvarez. He started to point out Canelo Alvarez's flaws, and Canelo had got so offended that Canelo challenged Juan Marquez to a fight. But when you listen to what the fans were saying, they were going in on Juan Manuel Marquez. Basically saying, oh, you're just jealous. Marquez is jealous and this and that and etc., right? It couldn't possibly be that a boxer who's already been in the ring and is one of the greatest Mexican fighters of all time, it can't be that he just has an intelligence and he has a perspective from inside of the ring that a lot of fans don't have. It couldn't just be that, right? It has to be he's jealous of Canelo and all this other ridiculous talk. But the reason is simple, because once again, they look at Juan Marquez saying that. They look at him as like being a traitor. That's what they're really saying. They're saying, you're probably right, Marquez, but we all in the same gang, man. It's cheerleading for these fans. A lot of these decafs don't get it. They don't realize that this is about boxing. It don't matter who you love, who you hate in the sport of boxing. None of that stuff matters. How good is this fighter? How far can he go in the sport of boxing? What type of flaws does he have? What fighters out there will give him the most problems? Who can he be? Can he be the future of boxing? Can he be the next pound for pound king? This is boxing talk. Not all that emotional talk. Who you like, who you love, who you hate, who you want out of the sport, and all that ridiculous casual talk. Let's just keep it boxing. Stop crying because Oscar De La Hoya and Teddy Atlas and Roy Jones and Bernard Hopkins, and the list goes on and on and on, because these fighters are not giving you guys the report that you want. This is about speaking the truth. This is not about just telling you guys what you want to hear, right? This ain't no loyalty to the gang. This is about boxing. You know, Golovkin is a very talented fighter. Has the potential to be pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world someday, if he starts to beat other fighters that are pound for pound the best in the world, or top 5, whatever, right? But he has to beat someone. You know, Guillermo Rigo is a perfect example of what a very confident fighter who truly believes he's the best in the world does. Guillermo Rigo was fighting at 118. Nonito Donaire was at 118, and then he moved up to 122. And even though Rigo is much smaller than Nonito Donaire and is really a natural 118 pounder. You know what Rigo said when Donaire moved up? He said, wherever you go, I go. Why? Because the media and the fans, they were saying that Donaire was pound for pound, top 3, one of the best fighters in the world. So Rigo was willing to jump up to another weight class just to chase that pound for pound status that Nonito Donaire had. Now Rigo could have stayed at 118. He could have just continued to fight completely no-name fighters for the rest of his life at 118, right? So why didn't he do it? You know why he didn't do it? Because he wanted to challenge himself. Because he said, if you guys are calling this guy pound for pound the best fighter in the world, I want to fight him. And I don't care, whatever division he move up to, I'll follow him to that division. You guys know when Rigo fought against Donaire, Donaire was damn near 20 pounds bigger than him, and Rigo still dominated him. This is all food for thought. That's all I got, guys. I'm on to the next one.